This is what the government predicted when they released the policy. And in the first month on realestate.com.au, they reported that home prices went up 50 grand. So to put it in perspective, 0.5%, if the average house is $1 million, you're talking about, what is it, 5 grand?
5 grand.
The average home price will go up by 5 grand over 6 years when you cut the deposit amount by 75%. In the first month, it went up $50,000. So it just shows how inept the government is, or how much they lie in regards to this. So I guess what I'm just sort of pointing at is for, like when I went and did the math on this, and I just start to really think about being a young Australian starting out, these young Australians now, okay, great, we've got a 5% deposit, but they've also got 15% more debt. They've got higher payments, they've got longer mortgages. They're going to spend decades paying off a home. And when you work into it, the interest that they're going to pay over this now much extended period of time on an asset that's just going to keep up with inflation, right? They're basically putting themselves in a tax. They're putting themselves in a tax prison for decades.
That's 100%. If you were going to pay it off and not run an investor model IO. And using the best leverage.
PPRs. These are principal places for residents. They have to live in it in order to get the 5% deposit.
It's a jail. It's literally a trap. You just saw on the weekend Trump announce 50-year mortgages, 50-year mortgages as opposed to 30-year mortgages. That's going to increase the interest by something like 3 times over that period. Basically, you're buying yourself a trap. Now, I keep coming back to this point, right? When interest rates are going from 15% to 0, that is a massive capital growth tailwind that you are riding as the interest rates go to 0. We're talking about interest rates that are going to be structurally rising over the next 10 to 15 years. And so it's an illusion. You're going to see your property. Like I got whacked in the comments when I said, who's going to buy these boomer mansions? And everyone's like, dickhead, the immigrants, don't you know, elbows, immigration army. It's like, yeah, I get that. Right. And if you listen to the whole podcast, you would have heard me say, I know someone's going to fill the void and those property prices in nominal terms are going to continue to go up in value. But on a real basis, you're going to get wrecked. And it no longer makes sense to buy property in this country and most Western countries if you're not adding value like you do with your commercial properties or Eric and James are doing. And even in that instance, it doesn't really make sense to keep them.
And these are not values. These are all PPRs, Eric.
Yeah, we got to think about like you're talking about data, right? Like these are PPRs, like the 5%.
Sorry, just hang just on that because I don't want to pull up on that. Like the first homeowners grant, you buy it under the grant, you move. What's the statute? You move out 6 weeks later. We're not going to track that it's not your PPR anymore. I mean, I did it on the first home, and every first home that has done it is moving out. So I just want to clarify that you're not stuck in that trap forever. Circumstances change, and you can rent the thing out, and then what they're going to chase after you for the 15% they gave to you? I doubt it.
But the problem is the social conditioning. Right. The problem is,
but I'm just talking about facts, and that is that you're not going to.
I'm looking up the article while Eric speaks. I'll look up the article because it does say that you need to actually live in it.
So where we're going, guys, right? In my opinion, and this is based off some stats, is we're going to be turning into Europe, right? More real estate will be held in less hands. Okay, there's more and more people that own a lot more than one property than there ever has been, because he or she that's been in the property market over the years, right, like Mark said, right, has benefited from 16% interest rates to 0% interest rates and all the equity that has been built within that time. Right now, as of June 2025, 12% of all new loans, right? Investor loans are up by 12% as of June 2025. Owner occupiers rose by 0.9%. So you're talking 13 times the amount of loans. For every one owner occupier loan, there's 13 investor loans. And let me tell you, I can almost guarantee you that those investor loans are going to be people that have more than one property, right? So we've discussed this before. In my opinion, leveraged real estate with manufactured growth strategy is hard to beat in my opinion.
But we're talking about PPR for young Australians.
Yeah, I understand that. So PPR for young Australians, right? The 5% deposit is the worst thing that they could have introduced for first-time home buyers, because what has it done, right, is just push their properties up by $50,000. When you think of it, okay, you work that out. $950,000 mortgage is $1,200 a week at 6%. That's a lot of money. That person can be renting, right, a unit or something smaller for a lot less. But again, it's this thought around, right, the white picket fence, exactly like what you said, Mark. It's society that tells us, no, we should buy a property, get a dog, have a baby, and go to get my 30-year mortgage, amortized mortgage, and pay it off over time. That's what my parents did. Right. My parents took 30 years to pay off the property, right? And they didn't get no benefit. So how are these people going to think that that's going to be their way to wealth? It's not their way to wealth. They're better off renting and using that money and investing it in other non-conventional ways, in my opinion, than taking the 5% deposit, because they make it look like it's all good. Right.
Yeah.
If I had a son right now or a daughter and they were asking me, I'd say, to answer Mark's question where he said, is tax the problem? When you consider staying in Australia, paying 30, 40% tax, and then putting all your money into a mortgage that you're going to be in for decades, I'd say leave, go to a low-cost, tax-friendly environment, learn to make money online, and invest in other things. And like just by way of a quick example, this week
you don't even need to do that. Like we spoke about last week, you could just keep working your job or whatever it is while you've got it, before it gets disrupted by AI, and you can just buy gold or Bitcoin, right? And not financial advice, but you buying hard assets. When people need to learn to start charting asset classes versus different asset classes, rather than looking at the value in AUD terms or the value in USD terms. You need to look at property versus gold, property versus Bitcoin. You need to start looking and learning how to chart assets versus other hard assets, because that tells you the real picture.
Like ChatGPT and Grok are incredible to just fast track those. Like if I invest X in this versus X in that, adjusted for inflation, all this, you can, like you said, Mark, it's so accessible now to actually just do the basic thought experiments